Welcome. This is the LG415 Week 1 homework review from our modules. For case 1, only thing you have to do this week for Week 1 is to do a case study, which is located on page 91 of your textbook, or if you have the ebook, hopefully still on page 91, I'm assuming. It's the disciplinary action case. Okay, so there are specific elements that you are required to do for all case studies and all homework. Okay, first off, uh, we have this case file, which is right here. This is the case file that you will be opening up, and here are the instructions to create the charts that are here. Okay, they're very simple to do. We have specific elements here to help you create these two charts. This is a file that you must complete and submit separately inside your gradebook. Okay, but what you need to do is do this first. Read the disciplinary citation case study, look at the questions that it's asking you, and analyze these charts that will be produced and how they affect and impact your answers and your narrative analysis to these questions. Again, anytime you're doing a narrative analysis, it's basically a term paper format. Do not start off your format or your analysis with the questions. Just start a narrative that that the local delivery service has 40 drivers, and give a basic lead in to the questions, and then it states what's your opinion of the manager's approach. That way you incorporate what you believe the manager is doing and how Deming's philosophy, those 14 points, affect what the manager is doing. And they don't all apply. Okay, they do all apply, but which ones of the 14 of Deming's points are more applicable in your opinion to what the manager should be doing? Okay, so you're assessing what the manager is doing using Deming's 14 points, in your opinion, what they should be doing, and which of those 14 points are more important in this case analysis. Okay, so and then you go down to the next one. How might the analysis of the data, which is right here, okay, help the manager understand the variation that's going on. Here you need to analyze the data. What is going on? Don't tell me what the chart is. Describe the chart. Tell me what the chart tells you. Okay, what's wrong with it? What does the data mean? And apply it to the scenario. Come up, in your own mind and in your own opinion, tell me what you think the issues are that are causing the variation or the differences in the numbers, and how you would approach it, and what kind of solutions would you develop to put in place to solve those issues. Okay, that's what I'm looking for in case studies. I'll be repeating this as we go through the reviews, but make sure you're incorporating critical analysis. You're looking at data, interpreting the data, and applying it to the question that it's asking you in the textbook and to the scenario that's in the textbook. And you're formulating potential causes for those issues and potential and probable solutions for those issues. And if you put those solutions in place, what do you think would be the end result? Okay, this is all speculative, but it's your opinion. And this is how we do critical analysis inside of quality and how we become quality analysts. We have to make sure that we're addressing the issues, we're looking at the data, and we're using the scenario and the question to develop a narrative format in which to express what we believe is going on and how to fix it and what the end result could be. Okay, so let's take a look. Disciplinary action, you got a delivery service of 40 drivers who deliver packages throughout an area. It says drivers make mistakes. Well, we know that. Okay, then they give you some examples of what's going on, and they tell you that a total of 280 mistakes were made in 1 year, and the manager in charge of this operation has issued disciplinary citations for each mistake. Okay, so he's punishing his workers with disciplinary citations. In other words, you did bad, bad boy, slapping you on the wrist. Okay, so here are the data. Okay, if you follow these instructions, your output will look like this. Okay, here's a Pareto chart, and the Pareto chart, all it does is, if you follow the instructions, which you really need to do, by the way, here's the error data, here's a scatter diagram okay, that we can use in the Pareto chart, but the scatter diagram is a separate thing. This is the same as this here, but what I've done is I removed all these data points. One big thing about these charts in Excel, remove the data points. Okay, how do you do that? If you click on the chart, just click on here. Let me do it again. I'm going to hold my cursor over the pointer right there on one data point. Okay, I'm going to click it. They all show up. I'm going to right click. I'm going to format the data series, and the marker options, I'm going to go none. Okay, markers are gone. Okay, same thing with the line down here. This is really busy and distracting. Same thing with the other one. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to put my pointer over it, click it, data series, marker, get rid of it. And that's how we produce this chart, which you can format. If you go into Excel, you can find out how to format the background, get this background out, and change the colors of the lines. But basically, this is what's being produced here. Okay. So let's take a look at the data in accordance with what the questions in the scenario ask. Okay. First off, the opinion of Deming's approach. My opinion is that he's violating a lot of things inside of Deming's 14 points. Okay, there are several, but this is your opinion. I have a separate opinion other than you. So you tell me what the manager is doing with these disciplinary citations, how it reflects back on Deming's 14 points, and which ones do you think he's violating. Okay, and tell me which ones you think he needs to modify in order to make things better. Okay, that's a good paragraph or two in your narrative. Okay, now we're going to do about the analysis of the data and to plot the data. How can the data help the manager improve the performance of the system? Well, the Pareto chart in your reading shows that we have the operator number 20 has the most errors. We don't care about, we just want to line them up in order. So if you follow the directions here, we want to put these in numerical order. Okay, that's why we have this sort feature up here. We're going to put these in numerical order from highest to lowest, and then we're going to chart it, which is what the Pareto is designed to do. It tells us where the most errors are and goes all the way down. Okay, so we have the 80-20 rule states that 80% of our errors are caused by 20% of our processes. So 80% of the errors is caused by basically 20% of our drivers. Okay, and you can see that 20% of 40, okay, is basically the top 10, okay, for lack of a better term. So if we were actually to multiply it, okay, that gives us top 8. 40% divided, or 40 divided by 20% is the top 8. But I would opt to go with the top 10 because that's where pretty much, if I eliminate these, everybody else is pretty much the same down here, but then I can start targeting the next group. But this is where the majority of my errors are being made within the top 10. Okay, if I just go down to 8, then I have 11, but I got another one here with 11 and another one with 10. So I would want to look at all these guys. What is causing these people to have more disciplinary citations than the others? Okay, when I ask that question, I can go back and look and see what they're doing and go investigate what each one of these drivers are doing. And given some of the examples here, doing the occasionally drivers make mistakes, entering the wrong package number, shipping documents, failing to get a signature, exactly what kind of categories these things are doing, or what kind of activities these drivers are doing to generate that many discrepancies. We don't have anything specific here. Okay, we just know that they have 22 errors, but we can go and investigate what's causing these 22 errors, and we can speculate on that. And so basically, how can the data help the manager? Well, the manager can go in there and start looking at all these individually to determine what are the highest causes, or what are the biggest factors that are causing all these errors in our drivers. Then I can go and initiate corrective actions to prevent those errors from happening again. Maybe it's something that's in the process that's driving this, or maybe it's an individual thing. One thing I do want to caution everybody on, because everybody seems to generate right towards this very basic element of training. Training is not a solution to any problem that you may have. Training is a contributing factor, or something that you can improve on to improve the training, and to get better results. But the thing is, once training is done, it has a shelf life. Okay, you're only going to remember things from training for a specific amount of time, and then you're going to start doing things, basically either start going off track or doing things that you think are better but are not inside the training and not really what they want you to do, but you do them anyway. Okay, it happens all the time. So training is not the issue. What happens after the training is the issue. That's how we can solve or address inadequate training. We can always improve the training, but it's the after training, the in process training, the repetitive going back through and making sure everybody understands, okay, this, we're seeing this, make sure we correct this, make sure we standardize our processes to make sure that nobody ventures off the beaten path. We don't want them to trail off and do things on their own. We want them to keep within the parameters that we're setting as a provider. Okay, and so they don't eliminate these, keep making these same mistakes over and over again. So it's not just the training, but it's the follow-on training, how we can improve our process further down the line, maybe through automation or other kinds of things. But we want to make sure that each of the individual drivers are performing the same way each and every time. Okay, and they're not venturing off doing things on their own. This chart, this is just a line chart. This tells us where the average is, okay? So don't describe it. This is what most people do. They tell me that this is a line chart with an average and shows the errors committed by the drivers. Well, sure, I can tell that just by looking at it. But now we have this, it's not telling me what the data means. What this is telling me is that I've got basically 20% or almost 50% of my drivers making errors. Okay, and that they range everywhere from 8 up to 22, right? We got that part of it. We know that we have a value of 22 there. If we hold it over there, see the value of 22 and a value of 8. Okay, and so basically all the, if our line here, if our average is 7, if we're looking for no more than 7, okay, we can go over here when we put them in numerical order. Okay, if we go down here, we've got, well, don't want to do that. Okay, we've got 40 drivers and 25 of them are making below what we expect. Okay, so our expectation is that no driver will make more than 7 errors. Okay, we've only got 25 that are doing it, 25 out of 40, so that's a percentage. So you can put that in there as part of your analysis. 25 out of 40 are making less at or less than our established limit of 7 errors, which means that 62.5 or almost 63% of our drivers are making more than our anticipated value of 7 errors. We have a range between 8 and 22 of our drivers. Okay, so we have 15. Okay, which is if you divide 15 by 40, obviously, you'll get that percentage as well. Okay, we have 25, which is representative of about 37%, right, of our drivers are. I'll take that back. 25%, 60 some odd percent of our drivers are achieving our standard of 7 errors or less. 60% of them. All right, that's 25 divided by 40. Okay, so that's 63% of our drivers are at or below what we're expecting, 7 errors, which means that 37% is above that. Okay, so I misstated that wrong here a few minutes ago, but I think you can kind of get it. But 38% or so, 37% are making the majority of the errors. So what is causing these 37% to make the errors? And that's what you're looking at here. There's a lot of variation between drivers. Okay, the majority or 62% are down here, 37% are above the line. That's analysis of the data. That's analysis of a line chart. And that's how we do it. We don't say it's just showing the errors made. Well, I could tell that. Tell me what it means that 37% are up here, making anywhere between 8 to 22 errors, and that 63% are down here that are making below our established goal of 7 errors, no more than 7 errors. Okay, that's what we're looking at. Okay, so we were looking at, that's how we interpret a line chart. Okay, below is good, above is bad. what is causing these bad. That's why we pivoted over here and do a Pareto. Now we can tell who is making the most of the errors. So if we were to look at the top 10, 80-20 rule, if we look at this, we can just go here and mark off the top 10 bars. Okay, these don't match up with the operator. They just list from 1 to 41 or 1 to 40 all the way down in numerical order. Okay, but we're looking at the top 10. So let's put a shape in here real quick. So I'm going to look at the top 10, which is right about there, right? That, because that's where the 10, actually that's where the 10 line is. Okay. Format shape, we're going to no fill, we're going to have a line color. Let's go with something snazzy. Okay, let's say we'll go green, and we'll bump this up, say about 2. That way we can highlight it. See, now I can show. Ooh, that's really bad. That green is is not really good enough. So we'll darken it up some. Okay, we'll go over here. At least that way we can see it. Okay, so I know that this batch of drivers, I need to start looking at what they're doing that's generating all of these errors. That's how I can use the data as a manager to see what's going on and eliminate the factors that are causing all those errors. Okay, and that's what you would put into a narrative, into a one-page narrative. Okay, again, I would prefer that you not incorporate these charts into your narrative. Separate the two. So submit the Excel chart as one file and submit the Word file with your narrative as a second file. That way I can read what you're writing and look at the data that you're driving and look at what's going on there, and make sure you're answering the questions in the textbook fully and completely with a critical analysis. Okay, and basically that's what I'm looking for in all case studies and in all homework assignments. You have to incorporate both the majority of the time. Okay, so there's your homework review. This is what would be expected from an output, and I've already explained to you what would be included as part of the overall narrative that you can use to use your own opinion and your own assumption and your own interpretation of the data, and how that relates to the case study and answering the questions in the text. That's what we're expecting from this point forward. Okay, so there you have it. There's your week 1 homework review.